Okay, perfect. First off, welcome to EMAS Sports. I saw that you were a Red Sox fan, so this question immediately came to mind. I'm curious what your reaction to the Devers trade was and how you kind of reacted to that, because I'm sure there are a lot of people watching, and myself included as well, that had strong opinions on it. So I'm just curious, before we get to the BMBL topics, what your reaction to that was.
Yeah, no, definitely a big topic of conversation in my house, which is a big baseball loving family. I was surprised, but to be honest, I'm not that upset about it. I don't think it necessarily moves the needle that much, and I think that hopefully they do something with the money. But that's kind of my view.
There's a lot of pressure on everyone on the team now, so
Mhm.
we'll see how that ends up. But anyways, figure I'd go with a little bit of a softball question to start off with.
No worries.
Um, but yeah, as soon as I saw on your bio that it's you're a Red Sox fan, I'm like, oh, gotta add this to the topic. So thank you. All right, so next question. You and the Cambridge Spinners have gotten off to a 6-2 start to the season in the 28 plus division, including three straight wins. What's impressed you most about that start, and who's been at the center of that success?
Yeah, I think since I joined 2 years ago, I think 23 was my first year. I was immediately impressed with the talent on the team. So I think really overall, it's our team has been, I think, over the last 3 years, probably one of the most consistent teams as far as performance is concerned. Unfortunately, haven't been able to win the whole thing at the very end, but we've been 2 straight years, and I think that's just a testament of the team as a whole, very deep, very versatile. We kind of do all aspects of the game the right way, play the right way, and I think over the course of 22 game season, and then in addition to that, the playoffs, it kind of plays itself out.
Well, I was going to say a big part of the reason might have been the fact that you have the Bombers and the Little Angels in your division as well.
Mhm.
They're two
Yeah.
very tough teams to go through. So just kind of talk about why they're so tough to beat, because obviously they're kind of at least seemingly your biggest competition every year since
Mhm.
I've been here
Yeah.
covering your league. So I'm curious what your thoughts on both those teams are.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would say kind of similar. Like those teams, they have a lot of talent, a lot of years on both teams playing. I know folks on both teams that have played in other leagues, that I've played against in other leagues too. So there's a lot of experience on both sides. I think those two teams also, they play the game the right way too, and they play, fundamental, consistent, clean baseball. And, I think there's a reason why, them two and us the last 3 years has probably been kind of the top three front runners in the league.
Yeah, and with that in mind, obviously they're going to be in your way in terms of winning a championship in the
Mhm.
division. So what do you guys have to what's the number one thing you guys have to do to be able to overcome both of those, if not both one, if
Mhm.
not both of those teams, depending on who you play in the playoffs? Obviously that's a little bit far ahead, but what do you guys have to do over the course of the season and then against them as well to be able to win?
Yeah, I think really it just comes down to situational execution, hitting and pitching. I think the last 2 years, can speak for myself where there's been situations where I haven't necessarily executed where I've wanted to kind of either clinch the game or put us in position to take a series lead. So I think there's a lot of those situations that arose over the last 2 years. Where if you look at some of the box scores, the games were pretty tight both years. So it really just comes down to execution, and that can be one pitch, one at bat, one play in the field, and when you have all using those three teams, including us as an example, when you have teams like that playing each other, the margin of error is very low.
And I'm sure pitching is obviously a big part of that. You kind of mentioned that. But kind of to go back to this season for a second, you won Pitcher of the Month in the 28 plus division with a 2-1 record in April and May, more specifically. 20 innings, .35 ERA, 13 strikeouts, 13 hits allowed, .75 whip. So just looking back on what you did in April and May, what was the key to your success and what's the secret behind that success?
Honestly, it's, just trying to be as prepared as you can for the season. And then like what I would try to say to that also is, I guess if you look kind of deeper into the numbers, like the strikeout numbers aren't that high. So I'm relying a lot on my team to make the plays, which they do, which kind of plays to the fundamental kind of overarching, aspect that I described earlier about, just showing up every day, doing the right thing, playing the game the right way. And, when you throw strikes and people make the plays in the field, it makes it look easy, I guess sometimes. So.
Well, I mean, you seem to have had a lot of success over the years with the Philly North Shore Phillies and the obviously the Spinners as well. And you have a 39 and 16 record over your career, 1.99 ERA, 428 strikeouts just with those two teams alone. So have you had a favorite game or favorite moment from your entire time with the Spinners or the Phillies? And why was that memorable?
Um, yeah, that would be a tough one. I'd have to kind of think about that a little bit. I'd probably say, in playing, all the years across both teams, been fortunate to be playing a lot of championship series. So I've played in five in the North Shore League, and then two in this league. I've only won one, unfortunately. So I'd probably say if I had to pick, just because we won that one year in 2013, I think if I'm remembering right, I pitched Game 5. The series is tied 2-2. We won that, and then we ended up winning Game 6 and winning the series. So I think that's the first one that comes to mind, but I might be missing others.
Are there any pitchers that you model your game after and why?
I mean, my favorite player, pitcher, just happened to be a pitcher growing up, Pedro Martinez, also a function of growing up in the Boston area. Um, you know, I actually kind of started throwing the changeup because that was his best pitch, and I somewhat mimicked that. And it's a pitch that I have tried to throw a lot, as I've played over the years. I also always, respected the mentality he had of pitching inside, of attacking hitters, not wanting to walk anyone, making them hit you. So I think all those type of things, as you grow up and watch the game, especially in the position that you play, you kind of want to be like that. You see someone play the game the right way or the way you perceive to be the right way, and that's kind of how you try to model it.
Okay, and then kind of follow up to that as well. Do you have a mentor who kind of helped shape your game the way it is today on the mound? And if so, what impact did they have on your career?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be unfair probably to point out one person. I think at every level of the game, all the way down from little league up through college, there's always someone that gives you kind of that critique in your mechanics or your the confidence to try something new or the rope to kind of let you struggle out there and figure it out. So honestly, it'd be tough to pinpoint one person. I think at every level, someone has done one or more of those things that, helps you build confidence and ultimately succeed.
Okay, and then obviously you mentioned your college days as well at Salem State specifically, where you had the most appearances in school history. That, of course, has since been broken. What stands out from your time there, and how did that impact your career in the BMBL as well?
Yeah, no, at Salem, it was I was part of a few, really good teams there. We had what stands out to me is we just had a great group of guys. A lot of them, almost all of them, I'm still friends with and regular contact with. So it was one of those experiences that kind of transcends, the college experience into life. A lot of us are still very close. Have kids. All those things. So what stands out, I think, is definitely the group of guys. And then in addition to that, I was fortunate to be on some really good teams. My senior year, I don't know where that stands now, but at the time it was we won 31 games, so it was the second most wins in school history. So we had some pretty good players. We brought a lot of kids over from other schools through word of mouth. So we were able to set something up pretty good, and then the school went on a pretty good run for about 5 to 10 years after that. So it was cool to be a part of that. The Phillies have always been in the North Shore League. They've been around since 2006. So I've played with them since 2012. And then prior to that, I actually played on a different North Shore League team that no longer exists for one year, the Saugus Force. But yeah, all in the North Shore League.
Okay. Did you have a favorite memory from, I mean, you've been there now 16 years, you said,
Yeah.
in the North Shore League. So do you have any favorite memories from there, or a favorite moment?
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely winning the 2013 championship was probably the number one. And then we had a few teams um, in years after that. We didn't end up winning the championship, but we had a few. I think there was at least one year where we went 22-2 in the regular season. We lost the first game of the year and the last game of the year, so we won 22 straight games. And we had just a lot of really good players. Me and a few other guys are maybe 1 or 2 years out of college, so still relatively fresh and young. And then we had a lot of kids that were actively playing in college. So again, just really good groups of players and kids, personalities, as well as talented players. So it kind of all blends together. It's been fun the whole time.
Okay. And then, do you have a favorite pregame meal, that you have before every game, or does it kind of just change game to game as well?
Not really. I honestly don't really eat before the game. Mostly just drink water, like a lot of water, a lot of hydration, maybe some seeds. But not no specific meal to be honest.
All right, to switch topics for a second. So we've talked about this before as well, or I mean, you might have. You've appeared in two BMBL championships and lost both. What lessons do you learn from those experiences, and how do you carry that into this season and beyond?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing that you always kind of take with you is, and you try to like build on, is like the perseverance associated with losing. So 2 years in a row, as you can imagine, not fun way to end the season, especially after I think both years. I think we either finished first or second both years. So very successful regular seasons, and then kind of gone through the first two rounds okay, and you kind of are in a position, you think you're in a position to win it, and unfortunately, like I mentioned earlier, just for whatever reason we didn't execute. So I think this year, hopefully we can get there, and then B, I think the experience of being there two times and kind of coming up short kind of helps callous your mind in a way that you can get there, and now it's just a function of doing what you have done to get there in that moment. So,
If you had to pick one player on both the Spinners and the Phillies that will be the key to your championship or potential championship success down the road, who will it be and why?
um, oh, that's tough to single. I guess on the Phillies, we have a few really young pitchers that are in. They just finished their senior year of high school. Very talented. They're going to really good Division III or Division I schools. With that team, I think I've pitched on the team for a while. There's a number of veteran pitchers, and I think adding some youth to the pitching staff, it definitely helps take some of the burden off our shoulder and or shoulders, I should say. I think that'll be kind of like the missing key there. I think that's where we fell short. We lost the North Shore League championship last year also to a team that was much younger than us, much more you know folks that were actively playing in college, and had many games under their belt before the season started. So I think that'll be a key for us there. In the Spinners, I think ultimately we added a few new kids this year. I think overall, I think we have all the pieces that we need to win. I think, a few additions that are helpful. We added a new catcher, Jordan. My younger brother's actually playing on the team also, who played at Bentley a number of years back. So, those folks, we've added a few new pitchers. I think the combination of that and all the guys that returned, I think put us in a really good position to get right back to the same position we were the last 2 years and hopefully get over the hump.
So you said obviously you're playing with your brother on one of those teams. What's it
Mm-hmm.
like having that kind of family connection on the team, and what does that do to the chemistry in a positive way? Because it seems like it obviously impacts it in a positive way, or at least I'm assuming it does.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've played together my whole life. Like we played together at Babe Ruth in high school, only a year apart. So we played on pretty much all the same teams for the most part. So I think it's really helpful. Like we obviously know each other's games very well. We know, you know, weaknesses and strengths, and I think it kind of helps complement things like mid game where you need to make an adjustment, or he hasn't played in a few years, and I can speak to tendencies of people on other teams that help him. So I think there's a lot of like synergies that are driven in a game when we're there together. So yeah, it's definitely helpful. It's I would say positive for sure.
Okay. And then last couple questions. So finish this sentence. The North Shore Phillies will become North Shore League champions because.
Because of more youth in pitching and uh, veteran presence throughout the playoffs.
Okay, and then same question, but for the spinners, spinners will be the 20 plus champions because.
Because we're doing no, because we will execute in the finals and play to the level at which we're capable of playing.
Okay, fair enough. And then final question, why should anybody who's watching or any fans of the league come watch the BMBL or the North Shore League games throughout the entire season and beyond?
Yeah, I mean, I think especially people that might have young kids that love baseball. I think both teams are going to showcase pretty good amateur product, and a lot of the players on the teams are not only talented but I think carry themselves in a way that as a parent myself, you'd want to bring your kids to watch, and especially if they have an affinity for baseball. It would be something that would hopefully continue their interest in the game, and make them want to watch more, play more.
All right, yeah, and actually, I don't know if you saw the Lowell Angels broadcast from their first game in Lowell, or at the Lecture Field, but we actually had a junior broadcaster come on broadcast with me for basically the entire game, and that, I mean, just that kind of thing alone brings a huge smile to your face. Just to have like fans be able to interact and
Yeah.
be able to just enjoy the game with you, I mean, it's priceless.
Yeah, what's interesting about both leagues, honestly, and I think it's a testament of the question you asked, and then also just a function of parents that also love a game, is for both leagues, that at least for the teams that I play for, I can speak to, is there's usually a pretty good turnout, which is really cool, and it's always fun, showing up at whether it's 8 o'clock at night or 9 in the morning, and there's a number of folks that are interested, whether it's on your team or the team you're playing, enough to come out and watch. So it's always fun to be part of that.